Hello, this is PG, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm reviewing Drova Forsaken Kin on PC. The game is available on PlayStation, Xbox and Switch as well. Drova Forsaken Kin is a pixel art role-playing game developed by Just 2D. So what's the game like to play? Well, gameplay, it's a mixture of exploration, combat and rich conversations. The game offers you a map, but it's exactly that. It's a piece of paper that you've got to use as a point of reference, but thankfully once you do get some ink, you can add to it to help you understand the lay of the land. So you start out in the usual manner. You wander around a strange world, you try to figure out what's going on. On that journey you will meet strange characters, hostile creatures, animals, towns, and even a nice bard who will sing you a lovely song if you give them a little bit of coin.
Allein steh ich dort, den Feinden zum Trotz, so lang bin ich schon fort, ein Opfer dieses Sports.
It's a proper role-playing game with a believable game world and characters who do genuinely feel different from one to the next. The world also has a kind of rich feel in terms of the lore, the history, and that is something that you will uncover throughout the journey. But eventually you'll end up in a fight, and this is one of the parts of Drova that really let it down for me. The devs have opted for this slow and deliberate combat style, and I have to say it did suck a huge amount of joy out of the experience. Not only with its stodgy and sluggish controls, but the brutal consequences of walking into an overpowered battle. Now you can adjust your character's loadout with new clothing, new items, you can equip 2 different weapon sets, you can mine for materials, you can even do some crafting once you learn how. But another issue, I think, with the game is how you level up. Now naturally you will level up by what you do, but to unlock the perks accompanying the level up, you've got to find specific items in order to do this. Now the game doesn't really tell you this either, so it's a considerable faux pas and it leaves you to wondering what benefit this system actually brings to the experience. I don't really see it, do you? You know, other than just padding out the game to make it longer winded, and padding, that's a good word to use for Drova. It's about 30 to 40 hours all in if you kind of like, you could probably do it quicker than that if you really rush through it, but that's about average. I would say after about 20 hours I really got bored and it was like a box ticking exercise after that. I think it's too long for its own good, because if you're going to make a 30 to 40 hour game, that's a long time. And you've really got to make it compelling, and I don't think it was compelling, even though the quests are good. I think conversations are interesting, but I do think you struggle to care after a while. I think sometimes less is more, and that's definitely something here that applies to Drova. Visually, it's a beautiful game at times with really lovely pixel art environments and characters. The interface is functional, but the game doesn't hold your hand too much, which is good and also bad at the same time. In terms of sound, sadly there isn't any substantial voice acting, and I think this does have a negative impact on the duration of the game, for one. Like often if you're writing a story, if it's only on the page, it ends up being a lot longer and more wordy than it would be if you were having real conversations. Now, it doesn't feel like the devs have actually read these things out loud in a conversational way, because it's very overly, you know, everything is far too many sentences. It's all round the houses and it doesn't feel like real conversations, which is a slight criticism of the narrative. Anyway, verdict. Drova Forsaken Kin. It's an interesting role-playing game with a lot of depth. Yes, perhaps the combat is underwhelming and frustrating, the narrative is overly long, and the progression elements are a little bit obscure. But despite these negatives, I did enjoy it. I enjoyed the rich game world, I enjoyed the character depth. I definitely think it's a game you can lose yourself in, which is a trait of any good role-playing game. I wouldn't say it's a classic, definitely not for me, not in this genre. There's a lot of really good indie RPGs, but if you like that genre and you're desperate for another one, it's not a bad option. So scoring, I would give Drova, I'd give it a 7 out of 10. It kind of just fell short in some ways, but in other ways it's very good. So, you know, it's a 50-50. Anyway, that's the review. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe. This is PG, signing off. Thank you.